I had a couple memories from Judge Dredd, and just one of them was the spaghetti robot. And then I remembered Rob Schneider on the back of the ABC Warrior. And I remember when I was 13, 14, I thought that thing was awesome.
So when we grew up, we would go down on a Friday night to the rental movie theater. We had a theater called the Plaza, which had one screen, but it's also the place where you rented movies from. So the front was a video store, and it was a theater as well. And so we'd go there on a Friday night, and I could pick a movie, and my sister could pick a movie. She was awful at picking movies. It was just so. But we always watch hers first, and then she'd fall asleep, and I'd watch mine by myself. So I picked Judge Dredd, and I watched it. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time that a 13-year-old Adam watched this movie, I thought it was super cool. And again, there wasn't a whole lot to compare it to at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it was also like this like deep cut, like not a mainstream comic book hero, but so you're like, oh, I'm kind of on the inside now. I know about this. And so I liked it. And then so the next day, my sister was like, hey, let's watch this, because she liked Stallone. And she loved it. And she watched it 3 times that day.
Oh, wow.
Like, I like this movie. And so I was like, oh. So we rented that movie a few times, because I was like, if my sister likes this, at least it's something we can watch that's not, awful.
It's only an hour and a half.
It's only an hour and a half, and it's got some cool things into it. Like, it's got, like, there's this dystopian future, and, like, I like a post-apocalyptic movie. A lot of things about this movie that I really dug, and I think the meanest thing I've heard anybody ever say is that there's a couple I was with, and we were hanging out, and the wife said, I didn't marry my husband for the man he is, or was. I married him for the man he has the potential to be.
Oof.
And he's getting there.
Oof.
And they're married for like 8 years. And I was like, that is and he was like, yep, no, I'm getting there. Like, he was really happy about it. But I don't think I love this movie for the movie it was, but the movie it had the potential to be.
Yeah. And you could tell that it was being pulled. It was a tug of war on both sides. No, it was a 3-way tug of war. It was the director, and then it was it was a 4-way. It was Stallone, the director, the producers, and then Assante just over on another side pulling on a thing.
Yeah.
Rico, his laugh. He has an evil laugh.
I think it was amazing that the scenery lasted as long as it did with him chewing on it so much. Like,
he honey badgered it.
He really did.
And now, all right,
that scene where he picks up the gun and they're like, only a judge can use that gun. He's like, I must be a judge then. Like, I remember that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
But so this is a movie, right, where The Crow had come out a year prior, correct? With The Crow was 94.
Yep.
So The Crow, The Crow is an edgy piece of work and this comes out, and it's this movie's rated R, Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
But the insults in this movie are bar breath and beaver toes and chicken livers and Dumbledore. So this is.
I think it got the R rating strictly because of all the clone deaths at the end.
Yeah.
They're just like that gross clone scene.
Because there is no other reason for. Well, Armand Assante busts out a couple of good swear words, but this was not. This was a PG-13 movie. How did it get an R? Because of the clone deaths?
I think it was all the clone deaths, like the gross clone deaths at the end.
Why were clones in it?
Because he wanted to make a bunch of Ricos that he could control.
Oh man, I want to see a Rico army. Oh, and Stallone goes, "You could never control yourself, so how can you control yourself?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was gross.
Yeah. What a line, huh?
And I also feel that Diane Lane was very miscast as Judge Hershey.
Yeah, I felt bad for her in this. I was just like, get her out of here. The same way I felt in the Man of Steel movie. I'm like, get Diane Lane out of here. She's a treasure.
I felt Diane Lane was like almost Judge Dredd's mom, and then they shoehorned her into like a love relationship with him.
Yeah, the smooch at the end for some reason.
Right, and it's against judge policy to be in a relationship with other judges or anybody at all.
Oh, brother.
They're just like Jedi. They remain married to their job.
So he broke the law.
He did break the law.
Oh no. It's like Captain America starting to swear.
It is like Captain America starting to swear. That was such a missed joke.
Oh, the America's ass?
No, when he like sees himself coming, he drops the S.
Oh yeah.
And Tony Stark doesn't say language cap. Like that was a missed joke.
Yeah, you should have been like, ooh, hey. I need to watch that movie again. It's been too long. But, alright, so this movie moves, I guess the point I was going to make earlier is that this is a movie in 95 after the very hit Crow, after Keanu Reeves was awesome in Speed, after, Arnold Schwarzenegger almost reinvented himself with True Lies by having Jamie Lee Curtis be so awesome in that movie. But then you have Judge Dredd with a climatic battle between Armand Assante and Stallone.
So Judge Dredd was made in 95 and felt like it belonged in 85.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess that's part of D'Souza's writing, I would say. But I also think Sylvester Stallone had some interesting villains in the 90s. So in 94, right, he had the Specialist, who was Eric Roberts. Then he had John Lithgow. And then he had Armand Assante. He had a very interesting group of villains to fight in his films, didn't he?
Who was the villain
Wesley
in
Snipes.
Assassins?
Antonio Banderas.
Right.
Well, that's a good one. So
that was a good movie.
So he would kind of do one for one really good villain, one random villain. But listen to our cliffhanger podcast if you're listening to this, so you can listen to me talk about John Lithgow working Stallone's ribs. Armand Assante did not work the ribs here.
No, so this to me as a child felt like the end fight from Commando. Where it's like you have Schwartz fighting a Belgian sausage in chainmail. Right? Like there's no way though that's a fair fight. And then you get Stallone, he's Rambo for crying out loud. And then you get Armand Assante, who's just like, how does he compete with Stallone? Like, how's he on the same wavelength? I don't get it.
I mean, he was pretty live in this movie, Assante.
Yeah. But when you have an established guy like Stallone who's known for being just like incredibly ripped, you really got to build up a bad guy to fight him.
Yeah, you're right. But I think he practiced more. I think he worked out his saying words more. I think he worked out his enunciation. That's what Armand Assante spent his time working out on. So I want to build something up for you. So I'm going to start with Rico. So Rico, why did you judge me? Why did you judge me? Judge Dredd, you killed innocent people. Rico, a means to an end. Judge Dredd, you started a massacre. Rico, I caused a revolution. Judge Dredd, you betrayed the law. Rico, there's literally 6 W's in this quote that I just read.
I want to give you the Oscar for best reading of it. Because for a moment I was like, did Mark get Stallone to be on the podcast?
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
We betrayed the law. It was amazing.
Now, Rico, he's fun, though, in this movie, no? Like, when you watched him, now that you're older, what'd you think about this?
I constantly think that he would Armand Assante would go to his trailer after the shoot, just be like, he's like laughing to himself. It's like, I can't believe I let me do that again. Like, I think he was just seeing what he could get away with, and they were just like, yeah, cut, that's a take.
I think Stallone and the director were fighting so much that they ignored Assante on set. I like when Rico says, he says, I'm the only one who ever loved you. But he says it, he's like, I'm the only one who ever loved you. Or, I'm the only one who ever loved you. Like, he says the way that, I can't even recreate how he said it. I'm the only one who ever loved you. I don't know how he did it. I wish I would have taped it and played it. But very interesting. He's going for it on this movie, Assante. Maybe we should give him more credit.
So I will say, you and I always agree, or have always agreed, that if you make a choice and stick to it, good or bad, there's respect there for making a choice and sticking to it.
Oh, yeah.
I really feel like Rico made some choices and stuck right to them.
Yeah. I think I give him props for this because he's in a different movie. He's in an 85 movie.
Yeah.
Right? And then Stallone thought, hey, Demolition Man was a hit. But a lot of the humor from Demolition Man came from Snipes. Yeah. And his reactions. And a lot, like the fish out of water concept worked well. He's not a fish out of water here.
He's a man apart. He's a man at a time, right? It's like, how do the seashells work? And what's the paper? And, even like, let's have sex. Like, that was his whole different thing, right? Yeah. Whereas in this, he's maybe the most knowledgeable guy. People always go to him for advice.
Except for the rookies. And I like that Rico says, the innocent exist only until they inevitably become perpetrators. Guilt and innocence is a matter of timing.
And you know what? I don't think he's wrong about that. Look
No.
at Rob Schneider, for example.
Like who?
Like
Oh,
Rob
yeah,
Schneider,
you're right.
he was, how do I survive in this criminal wasteland? And all of a sudden I'm released and now I'm back in jail because I was trying to survive.
And this world, and Judge Dredd says to him, you should have jumped out and died. So that's not a good way to start a character, is it?
No, and I think that's the hero's journey that Stallone goes on. He goes from being a robot to a person. And I think that's why they did the kiss at the end.
Oh, that's why she says to him, they made me without any emotions. And she's like, no, you made yourself into that. She's like, look at your brother. Look how much emotion he has.
Yeah, just take a little bit, a thimble of that, mix it in, and do a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way. Oh man, that's funny. All right, now I do want to talk about they did not choreograph any fights in here. So when he fights the cannibals, Scott Wilson. So as I'm listening to this in my car, Scott Wilson's running at him with a spear, but this is how long it goes. It's a very long run. And then Stallone grabs the same weapon and runs at the large man, and the attack fails in the same way that Scott Wilson's attack failed. What'd you think about that?
Well, again, it must have been different listening to it because I just visually, those cannibals are so interesting.
Yeah.
The set is so interesting that I was almost like mesmerized by all that going on to care that it was just a really bad fight.
So they had Junior, and then they had the other guy, and then the other guy was born a deformed baby that they turned into a robot.
Right.
And so they've been murdering, and so Judge Dredd knew about them. So they blow up ships and they just eat people and scavenge?
How much does a half-robot deformed guy have to eat to survive as a cannibal?
3 fingers a week. And some motor oil.
That's what they crash the plane, so he scavenges the plane parts.
Yeah, he can guzzle. They have knowledge of, they're doctors.
You know, they're for three cannibals living in the wasteland, they are pretty intelligent.
I mean, they're known, right? They know about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and they're like scared of them.
And Christopher Plummer walked there pretty quickly.
You mean Max Van?
Oh yeah, Max Van.
I was like Christopher Plummer.
I did them mixed up. The Seventh Seal, how about that? Walks there really quickly. That's a Criterion Blu-ray I'd love to own.
I thought Christopher Plummer in the Stratford Shakespeare Festival when I was in high school.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a town near here in Ontario called Stratford, and they do like a Shakespeare Festival every year. And it's like a big deal.
Nice.
Christopher Plummer was in Hamlet.
Ooh, how'd that sound?
Well, I was in high school, so like you pretend you like Shakespeare because girls are there, but you don't really know what's going on.
Got it. You're like, man, this bard sucks, but it sounds interesting.
Exactly.
So, anything else you want to cover on these movies? Now, you said you might have something that's gonna...
Judge Dredd has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And Dredd, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
Which goes into my theory that Carl Urban makes everything better.
I mean, I would say so.
So I said to you, he's like the king of remakes. So he remade Dredd. He remade Pete's Dragon, which when I saw the first few Pete's Dragon, I was like, how can they take like a classic Disney children's movie and make it, and they did. They made that movie so much better.
Such a good movie.
I took 35 kids at a day camp to go see that movie. And the bus ride home, there was like all tears of joy streaming down people's faces. Because it's like such a sad but beautiful movie.
So good.
And then like Star Trek, when you think like you take a classic thing that's like so quintessential pop culture, you're going to redo it, and Carl Urban kills it there.
Crushes it.
So he's crushes it. And this list goes on and on of movies he's remade. So I said, Mark, here's what we're going to do. We're going to each come up with 7 movies that we think would be better remade with Carl Urban. And then we're going to, from that 14 movie pot, we're going to pick 5 and put together a 5-picture deal if we were a studio to offer Carl Urban.
Ooh. Oh man. This is tough.
And it's been tough because I just think like everything would be better with Carl Urban. Like Annie Gable's better with Carl Urban, right? Like,
and he was in Red, right? And that was better than Red 2 because he wasn't in it. Now he was in the sequel to Pitch Black, but we'll ignore that.
But I'm not talking sequels. I'm talking remakes.
Oh, got it. Never mind. Well, do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to kick us off?
I'll kick us off.